And we're back. It's 2025. The first year on eBay is done and dusted and is ready for the taxman to review. So in today's video, I plan on keeping it short because I think by now you've probably all seen other resellers go through what their figures were, etc. It's not that exciting, I don't think. But where I'm a little bit different is because it's my first year on eBay. And I think that if you are new to reselling or you want to become a reseller, I think it might be slightly more interesting to see what my first year figures are so that you can get an understanding of what you can expect if you sell similar items to me. So I think it's the best way to do it, I think, is to get the big number out of the way. It's not that big because I started from selling stuff around the house. So I think if you've watched my videos for some time now, you'll know that my first item I sold was a FIFA game. It was a personal game. It sold for like £9, I think it was. And that was back in January last year. So everything that we've built in this garage has come from that FIFA game. Now, funny enough, that FIFA game never actually arrived to the customer, and I got negative feedback on my very first item. So there's a lesson to be learned. So the turnover for 2024 for a part-time, I'm very much part-time, I have a full-time job, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week, etc., was £27,994, which I don't think is too bad. If you consider that I only really started listing 10 a day in August. Before that, it was very much whatever I had spare cash was what I would spend per day on listing. So when I first started, I had to wait for things to sell just so I could get some of that cash back in. So when I sold the FIFA game, the Walking Dead box set, I could go and reinvest that money. So it was very much a list it and wait. So in the beginning, I wasn't even listing one a day. I listed in my first week probably 5 items. The second week, I had to wait for something to sell before I go and bought another item. So 27,994 is the total turnover for 2024. To achieve that number, I have sold 1,801 items, which again, I think is crazy. It's mad when I think about it. And my average sales price comes to no surprise to me of £15.54. Now, if somebody was to say to me, what is the price point for most of your items, I would say 15 quid. £14.99 is what I sell most shirts, trousers, even shoes at. So £15.54 is no surprise whatsoever. So now we come to the fees and expenses. So I spent a total of £11,497 on stock. Now, not all of that stock is processed. There's all this behind me. There's 2 big piles here, so I don't really need to go sourcing for a little while. So I have made sure that I have got enough stock to see me through January, February until boot sales come back on. I've spent £5,090 on postage. You could make postage cheaper. I only use Royal Mail. And the reason I use Royal Mail is because it's convenient for me. There is a post office in my town centre, which is like a 5-minute walk away. So for me, it's convenient. If I had to use every Yodel DPD, it means more travelling. And because I am part-time, I only get half an hour in my lunch break to go and take the parcels to the post office. So that works for me. That won't change in 2025. I have spent £1,189 on supplies for the business. Now that's things like clear poly bags, postage bags, tape, but it also covers things like the racking that you see, the boxes where the items sit. It also covers equipment like knives, Sharpies, etc. So I don't think that's too bad for supplies. I thought it would be a lot higher than that. Now, eBay fees. And although we didn't spend much in the way of eBay fees in Q4 because of the free clothing listings, etc., we did spend £5,500 on eBay fees, which includes promoted listings. Now, I promote everything at 3%. I don't think that's really going to change in 2025. I have heard that if you do the dynamic promoted, which I don't, the minimum you can do is 5%. So to compete with the dynamic, I'm not sure whether I need to increase from 3% to 5% at least. For now, I think I'm going to keep it at 3. See how we go at 3. On top of fees, etc., I did also purchase a vehicle for the business. So I purchased a van for the business. I traded in my personal car, and I purchased a van. That cost me £1,500 and about £500 or £600 to do some work on it. So about £2,000 in total was spent on the van. So my total expenses for 2024 was £24,856, which gives me a pre-tax profit of £4,824. Now that doesn't sound like a lot. For a whole year's worth of work, a pre-tax profit, because it's probably another grand to come off that after taxes, of £4,827 or £24. It feels like a lot of work for not much gain. However, I am in a fortunate position that I have a full-time job, and I knew that I was not going to take a wage from this side hustle, this business. And I still plan in 2025 not to take any money out of this business for myself. Everything needs to go back into the business in some capacity, because I want to build a business that is sustainable without me being in the business forever. There are some obvious big costs that will come to that. So this year I'm trying to get the garden room at the bottom of the garden, which will then allow me to get more stock. After that space has been filled, I will then have to look at exterior warehouse space and slowly remove myself from doing particular tasks within the business. I want to run a business. I don't want to be working in my business, if that makes sense. A lot of resellers will be happy to work as a single entity for the rest of their lives because they don't have a boss, they don't have anyone telling them what to do. They will be able to wake up at whatever time they want, and they will do everything within their business. So they will do all the sourcing, they will do the photos, they will do the listing and all the customer service, etc. I don't want another job. I already have a job. I don't need another one. So I'm trying to build a business where I don't need to be in it for it to function. And we'll come on to that a little bit later. So With a pre-tax profit of £4,824, that is a 17.26% profit margin, which again, I don't think is too bad. For the first year operating the store, 17.26% profit margin. Ideally, I think the number you want to be hitting for that is about 25 to 30% profit margin. But for a first year, I don't think that's too bad at all. Now, before I go on to what we're going to do, like I've got a magic ball, before I go on to what we are planning to do in 2025, I just want to go over some lessons that I've learned in 2024, which might help you out if you're thinking of becoming a reseller. The very first lesson that I've learned is everything will sell. However, not everything is worth your time to sell. And what I mean by that is you may go to a charity shop and you may pick up, I don't know, a shirt for, if you pick up a fat face shirt for 10 quid, let's say, you're only going to make £5 on that shirt potentially. You will, if you pick up the wrong shirt, you know, there are some shirts that will sell for £20-25, but let's say you pick up the wrong fat face shirt and it's only worth 15 quid. You are doing all that work for £5. So you've not only gone out, you've brought it home, you've prepared it, washed it, ironed it potentially. You've then stuck it up on your board, you've took your pictures of it, you've stored it for 5 quid. Before fees, before taxes, it's not worth your time. I still have a lot of stock in here that is like that. I'm not an expert, but just over the year, what I've learned is you need to be more selective with what you pick up, because it's a lot easier to sell something for £30 when you pick it up for a fiver than it is to sell something for £10 when you pick it up for a fiver, because the profit is there. You can feel that the work you do is actually worth something. So work out what your time is worth. The next thing I learned is that I need to plan ahead. I need to plan the seasons, and that's something that I will be hoping to improve on in 2025. I've already said I wasn't ready for Q4. I had a really poor Q4 actually. Like the worst quarter of last year was Q4. When you consider that, you know, I was only listing a few things a day in Q1 last year, that tells you how bad my Q4 was. But I don't think it was necessarily because of eBay or the market or anything like that. I don't think I was well prepared. Didn't have enough winter stock in my store. Didn't have enough of the things you expect people to buy for Christmas. Don't focus on the 90-day totals. This got me hung up for months on end, and I'd literally be on eBay. I'd flick onto the app and check my 90-day total after every sale. I'm like, why is it not moving? Don't focus on it. Honestly, it's a vanity number. Don't worry about it. You will see other people post massive 90-day totals of like 20 grand in 90 days, and you're sat there going, why am I only on 6? Just worry about getting good items in your store and making sure that you've got items that have a good sell-through rate, you're priced correctly, your listing is correct, and improving your store. That's all you need to focus on, especially in year one. Don't worry about 90-day totals, because it got me hung up for ages and I couldn't get my head around it. Don't panic sell items. The amount of times I have been sat there at 9 o'clock at night. I've not had a sale all day, and I don't want a no sales day because I think, well, I've got 600 items in my store, 700 items in my store. There's no way I shouldn't have a sale. And then somebody throws in a really lowball offer, and you go, okay, I'll take it because I've not had a sale today. I've probably wasted hundreds of pounds because of that situation. And that ends up being the only sale of the day. And, you know, they've offered 50% of what the item's worth. The customer's got a great bargain. And fair play for putting the offer in. Caught me at the right time. But in 2025, I think that the whole no sales days, I'm going to try not to worry about, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit and say, well, didn't have a sale that day, but what did I do for the month? How does this compare to last year? So yeah, don't panic sell items. If the item is good and the offer is fair and profitable, get it gone. I don't want to hang on to an item. But if you've got an item listed for 60 quid and that's the going rate, and somebody offers you £15, don't panic. So it's a bit of an extreme example, but I have had jumpers up for 25 and I've accepted 15. Really, it would have sold for 25. It might have taken a few more days, but it would have sold for 25. And yeah, don't worry about the no sales days, especially in your first year. Don't worry about it. So 2025, what are the goals? Now, last year, I didn't put a monetary value on what I wanted to achieve because I just didn't know. All I knew was I wanted to be really aggressive and build the store to 800 listings. And I did that quite comfortably in the end. But this year, I'm going to put a monetary goal in. Do I think it's going to be achievable? It's going to be tight. It's going to be hard. Don't get me wrong. You know, 27,000 in my first year. I've put a goal of 40k in my second year. The reason why I've gone so high for my second year is because if I aim to do the 40k and I fail, then I've failed at doing 40k. I might hit 30. I might hit 35. If I put a goal of 30, I might do worse than last year. So the goal is 40k, which means I need a daily income of £109.50, which is quite a lot for a part-timer to do. I'm also going to try and improve my average sales price. So it was £15.54. I'm going to try really hard to get it to about 20 quid. One of the other things, the main thing for 2025, is to increase the stock holding capacity. I've spoken about it before. I've mentioned it in previous videos. This garage will hold 1,100-ish items after I've done the inventory check. That's its limit. And that's not where I need to be going into 2026. So I need something to get to 2,000 items. So hopefully, touch wood, everything goes well and we can start saving some cash and get something built in the bottom of the garden. So this year is going to be very much a maintenance year. I'm going to try and increase the average sales price, which will, I still want to sell about the same, so that will naturally increase the turnover. But I don't want to really increase much in the way of expenditure. I want to maintain a 1,000 item store this year, just until we can get it moved over. Now, I mentioned earlier about removing myself from certain aspects of the job. Now, being part-time, I'm sure there are other part-timers around who watch the video, it's really difficult to find time to do all of the tasks of eBay. So you might be able to quickly nip into the garage and take some photos, but then you've got to list it. You know, I've got a young family with a little girl. There's responsibilities. You know, you work full time. You're doing things on the weekend with your family. You don't want to disrupt that family life. So the hardest part for me is the actual listing. Now, towards the back end of last year, I think the last 3 weeks of last year, I hired a contractor from Fiverr to do some listing for me. And I tried a couple, and I settled on one person who was really efficient with his time, who was really good when it comes to the cost of the listing. It worked out to be £1 a listing if you do 50 or more. Now, I already do 50 listings at least a week, so I will always be able to give 50 listings. More likely be 70 because I usually do 10 a day. And his turnaround was really good. It was 2 or 3 days. So this year, the contractor will be doing most of the listing for me. Now, the other good thing is he is in a country the other side of the world, so he's working away on listing while I'm asleep. So really handy. You know, my eBay store is always working that way. Now, yes, it's an extra expense, but I feel like I'll be able to be more consistent and I'll get more listings up because I won't miss that listing goal. I also won't be listing 10 a day. I will be listing everything I have when I have it. So if I have 50 listings live ready for Monday, 50 listings in the draft bank, and it's a Monday, 50 are going live. I tried the 10 a day last year, and it worked okay. It seemed to be okay. But I just felt like I might be missing a trick if I held 40 listings back, but if somebody wanted one of those listings, I'm holding back. I don't think it really affects the eBay algorithm because you're still active throughout the week. I'm still posting parcels. I'm still sending out offers. But if I'm listing in bulk on a single a day, I think it will all average out. But it might just be that I might get the right person at the right time to buy the item rather than holding it back. If a person is looking for an item on a Tuesday and I've got it set in my draft bank, I can't sell it. So my thinking is in 2025, I won't have a draft bank. Everything that I have ready to list will be listed the day it's ready. And that's it. Now you'll notice that there isn't any YouTube goals for 2025 because for me, YouTube is a byproduct of what I do. It's not my main business. I don't earn any income from YouTube. I only have 223 subscribers. I'm grateful for every subscriber I have. However, because it's not a source of income for me, it is just a byproduct of what I do. I still aim to do a video a week for you guys. I aim to still do car boot videos and charity shop videos and what's sold videos, etc. So that you can see how the business is progressing. I do have a new intro. Run the intro. I made that on Canva, so you'll see that at the beginning of all my videos. But I don't have any goals for YouTube. I still want to improve on what I'm doing on YouTube and the content that I'm putting out. I still want to learn how to edit correctly. However, those are some side goals. The eBay goals need to be the main focus for 2025. I do hope that you all had a lovely Christmas and you all had a great new year. Let's kick off 2025 with a bang, and let's hopefully have a good January. And I'll see you next week for a what's sold in our first week back on eBay in 2025. See you later.